Can a custom verified caller visual save phone calls? Welcome to Tech First with John Koetsier. I don't know about you, but I don't take too many random phone calls anymore. In fact, I even turned that feature off my phone a few months ago. There's just too high a chance for spam or somebody calling me pretending to be the IRS or something like that. Recently, of course, I had a doctor's appointment and then there was supposed to be a follow up with a specialist, and I had to turn that feature off. But the problem is now I'm getting some calls that I don't want. Well, to see if there's a solution for that, we're actually going to chat with First Orion CTO, Mark Himelfarb, right now. Welcome, Mark.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Hey, so phone calls are kind of getting a bad rap, right? How much phone spam is there?
Actually, a lot. It's 100 billion with a B dollar industry. And just to put that in perspective, that's $375 on average a person. So there's a lot of phone spam. And we estimated that in 2020, about 40 to 50% of all calls, wireless calls, will be spam.
Wow, that is much larger than I thought it would be. What's the consequence of that? I mean, I had a feature on my iPhone where I could turn off. I wouldn't get notified about any calls that were not in my address book, and I assume others have done that as well. My wife never did that because she might miss an important call, which is very true.
Right.
Absolutely. But what are the consequences? What are people doing in response to that? Are they just not answering their phone anymore?
Well, that's exactly what happened. The spammers actually conditioned us not to pick up the phone calls anymore. If the number is something we don't recognize, if it's not in our contact list, then we simply just don't answer. Of course, the problem with that is if you do that, you'll be missing those important phone calls, right?
Exactly. Cool. Let's talk about your solution, and I'll just bring up on the screen an example that I mocked up on your website. What is your solution? How's it work?
Right. So we have branded call ID and brand call display. Basically, the way it works is a business would go online, log into a portal. They'll set up a profile specific to their business and specific to the message that they want to send, and the ID that they want to see have the consumer see on the screen. And when you get the call, you will be seeing a display similar to the one you have, with the right branded logo, graphics, rich experience, and even some response actions in some cases.
Wow.
Certainly, as a user, you'll then be able to answer or do other things as you wish.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the one that I put up there, I put up, hey, it's from Flyingly, some fictional airline or whatever that you guys had set up in your demo maker. And I said, we found your child in Terminal 3. Where can we bring her? Right. And you're going to answer that call.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Maybe a spam call. It could even be possible, but you're going to answer that call, especially if you can't figure out where Susie is. But, how's that work? Does that require special software on my phone, on anybody else's phone?
So the branded call display does require an app, typically on the phone, and that app will contain some software from First Orion that would enable you to be able to receive those calls. Now, the branded call ID, which is a different version of the same service, allows you to see a 15-character display on your phone. Does not require any software at all. Same principle. The brand would go online, create the information about the brand that they want to display. It could be something like lost and found, or it could be your RX refill, or whatever it is. And then you, as a consumer, would see that information on your screen when your phone rings.
So Android, iOS works on both. How does that work technically? Because that's interesting. I didn't know that an app could basically take over the calling functionality from the main iPhone app. On Android, many things are possible.
Right.
On iOS, it's a little more challenging. How's that work?
So essentially what we do is we do the same thing you would do as a user, right? You create contacts. Think of it the same way. We essentially have a special technology that allows us to create contacts on your phone, but only for a very specific period of time, only for the duration of the call. When the call is over, we can remove the contact from your phone so it doesn't stay there forever, unless you want to save it, which is up to you, certainly.
Interesting. And it works similarly on Android and iOS?
Very similar. The details of the technology are slightly different, but the overall view is exactly the same.
So that basically uses the same onboard functionality that when my mom calls, her picture shows up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting, interesting. So obviously there are some challenges here, right? I mean, you don't need iOS or you don't need Apple's permission, you don't need Google's permission, but you do need a significant percentage of people to install your app. But anybody who installs your app is immediately able to get those types of things. How are you going to get a significant percentage of people to install that?
Outstanding question. Well, here's the best part. We distribute our software as an SDK. And so any app out there in the market can simply embed the SDK, right? And so you probably already have apps with the companies that you business with, whether it's a pharmacy, whether it's a bank, whether it's a delivery company, right? So those apps will have the SDK in them. And once the SDK is in the app, that's all you need in order for you to be able to have that rich experience.
Interesting. So maybe a cellular company, a carrier or something like that could install the SDK and offer that as a service?
Yes, I would think, John, that probably a better way is maybe an OEM kind of play where an OEM would install the SDK into their dialer. I think you could see that as a sort of a similar experience. So that certainly is an option. Now, with the branded call ID, the carrier is a part of the equation, right? Because a 15-character display does come from the carrier.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Is this spoofable? I mean, this would be amazing to spoof. If you're one of those bad guys making those billions of dollars there, you'd want to spoof this, and it's your doctor calling, it's your bank
Right.
calling. We found your credit card, whatever. They'd love to get in and do that sort of thing. What's the security around it?
Well, so as you know, First Orion's been in this business for about 11 years, now almost 12, and we are also providing the call protection as well as call enhancement. So we know how to prevent spoofing, and so yes, there's some very sophisticated anti-spoof technologies built into this.
Excellent. Good. Let's talk about the impact. If somebody adopts this technology, makes it available for their users, their customers, what's the impact on pickup, those sorts of things?
So here's some numbers for you. So we are seeing up to 200% increase in first call pickup rates. So first call pickup rates, again, is that very first call that the brand makes to you about that specific item or that specific service. That's huge, 200% increase.
Interesting. Okay, good, good, good. And you talked about, I hadn't known this previously, but you talked about there's some cases where you can have some actions, some dynamic actions right on this kind of response screen that we've been showing. What kind of actions are you talking about?
So the simple example, and there are a few different options. The simple example is you can embed URLs into this display, and so we can actually work with the phone in such a way that the consumer will be prompted to tap a link or do something else, whatever is relevant to this conversation. There's some other technology that allows us to do other things as well, but it's a little bit more involved. But URL interaction is probably the most ubiquitous. Let's put it this way.
Okay, okay. Now talk to me about First Orion. You said you've been around for about 11 years. Where are you with this technology? Is this how new is this, and who's using it?
So we've been in business, as you mentioned, 12 or 11, almost 12 years now. We have both the call protection and the call enhancement sort of sides of the house. And this particular technology has been in production since 2016. We have a few different customers. This is actually a global offering. So this is not just the US or North America. So just a couple of examples for you. One is a Kino. It's a car wash app in UAE. Believe it or not, it's a big deal in the UAE. You get fined if you don't have your car washed. So it's a big business. Yes, yes. It's a very interesting. We do have an office in Dubai as well. And so that's one customer. And they're also franchising out to other regions as well. And then the other one, just another example for you, is Globe Life, which is a US-based company. It's an insurance company. So again,
Excellent.
sort of the gamut of different industries.
Excellent. Well, it's pretty interesting to me if I knew for sure who was calling and a little bit about why they were calling. If they just, we have an investment for you, we'd like you to take a look at it. I don't want to take that call from my bank, but
Yeah.
if they discover that I'm being defrauded, then I'll take that one. I would actually pick up more phone calls. Well, Mark, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
And everybody else, thank you for joining us on Tech First. My name is John Koetsier. Really appreciate you being along for the ride. Hey, you'll be able to get a full transcript of this conversation pretty soon, a couple days, maybe a week at johnkoetsier.com. The story on Forbes will follow shortly thereafter. And of course, the video lives forever on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Maybe share with a friend. Until next time, this is John Koetsier with Tech First.